Hey, Dr. Adney, glad to have you here today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And we're here today to mine your secrets out of what you've done over the many years you've been in practice to make it work out for you. Now, you started how many years ago? How long have you been in practice?
I graduated in 1982, which means right now I just started my 39th year of practice.
Wow, we could carbon date you, man.
Yeah.
And you're still at it.
I'm still at it, yes.
Wow.
And enjoying it, you know?
Where was the impulse come? Where did it, for you, where's the identifiable impulse for you to become a vet? Where did that start?
Well, I was always an animal lover.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mother has a picture of me listening to my teddy bear with a stethoscope. And there's no doctors in my family. So I think it was just with me from the beginning.
That's awesome. And you still have that teddy bear somewhere as a client?
You know, yeah.
Hopefully you paid for that.
yeah, there you go. My first physical exam.
There you go. And that persisted throughout, like high school, undergrad? I mean, you were just knew where you were going?
I did. You know, I was 12 or 13, and I was up on a hill overlooking my parents' middle-class neighborhood, kind of knowing that I wanted something a little better. And I remember thinking to myself at 12 or 13 that one veterinary hospital was not going to be enough. You know, so yeah, it was with me from the get-go.
Wow, awesome. And you've had how many now? How many?
I'm in my sixth one.
Sixth hospital?
Yeah, I just have one now, but this is the sixth one that I've had throughout the course of 38 and some odd years.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And for our viewers, we should let them know they all were successful.
Yeah.
We didn't lose 5 and have 1 now. They did great.
Yeah, there were some slow starts, but yeah.
All right, fair enough. So you currently have this practice here in Florida. It's doing great. You have how many associates now?
We have 6 or 7. We have I think we have 6 full-time vets and several relief or part-time vets.
Awesome. And you've got some great numbers going, I know that. Well, that practice is going to gross what this year?
Yeah, it'll do well over $5 million this year.
Wow. Now, this is what we want to hear about. We want to hear about the path. We want to hear about what it is that's making that work, because I'm sure a lot of people listening are going to say, that's not even real to me. I don't do anywhere near that, and they're not even broken $1 million yet in some cases. So let's share those things you've been doing, because I know you're at this stage wanting to give back quite a bit to people that are out there.
Sure, because, you know, at one point, it was not real for me to be able to do that either, or any practice for that matter.
Yeah, I can believe that. By the way, where'd you get your degree from? Where'd your school at?
University of Tennessee.
All right, good.
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh, it was excellent. You know, I really got a great education. It was a brand new vet school, and I was their 4th graduating class. So they had a lot of money appropriated, and so they got the best clinicians and the best teachers that, you know, at that time that money could buy, because they had more, because it was appropriated.
Sure, that's great. What'd you do when you got out? How did you launch? Where did you start practicing?
Yeah, well, I was on top of the world when I graduated. You know, hey, I knew it all. Yeah, right. You know, I thought I did. But I actually worked with a big practice. I was actually the 4th veterinarian in a practice in Memphis.
Okay.
Stage Road Animal Hospital. You know, it was Dr. Pierce. He was a great mentor. And I learned a lot there. And then I went to work. I worked there for about a year. And then I went to work for another practice in Memphis called Brooks Road Animal Hospital. And I worked there for a year.
Okay.
And then after that, I moved to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and bought a building and started a practice from scratch.
Wow.
And that was tough.
Yeah. Now, the whole time you're associated, you're planning this, you're thinking, I'm going to get my own deal. That's kind of in the forefront of your mind?
Oh, yeah. I definitely wanted to have my own practice from the get-go.
Yeah.
But also, even though I was a pretty cocky guy, I knew that I needed to learn some stuff and needed some experience from, you know, some help from people who had been doing this a while. My plan was to work for 2 years and then go out on my own.
Sure. So you go up to Hot Springs, you buy a facility. You don't have a patient base. You just have a facility.
That's exactly right.
And so you open the door, you unlock the door the first day. You got nobody there? No clients?
4 clients.
4
clients that day. And one of them,
you give a long consult if you only have 4.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny that I was right next door to a dry cleaners. And of course, I had met them and talked to them and ended up marrying their daughter.
What?
But yeah.
Wow.
But they were my first client and they spent $97. And I was, I remember going into the room feeling bad about telling them how much their bill was.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah.
Already down on one knee?
Yeah, no. Yeah, almost.
Wow. Okay. So what happens from that point? What are you doing at this stage? Give us a pitch snapshot of what it looks like. How are you building it? What are you doing about it?
Well, at that point in time, I had the mentality that if you build it, they will come.
Okay.
And I struggled. I mean, I'm telling you, I worked there, had my own practice for 3 years without a paycheck.
Wow.
3 years.
Unbelievable.
And I
see why you married the dry cleaner.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. But it was tough. I mean, I had no business experience. I mean, in vet school and the places that I worked, I got plenty of clinical experience. And I was very confident in my ability to treat animals for a variety of things and do surgery and all that. And I didn't really look at the aspect of running a business or running a vet practice as a business. I looked at running a vet practice as taking care of animals. And that if you took good enough care of them, that, financially you would do okay.
Sure.
And I found out that wasn't necessarily true.
And you had at that time, and by the third year, maybe 4 or 5 staff, something like that?
Yeah, I think we had 4 staff, and I was still the only veterinarian.
Kind of hours you're working in those days?
Oh, I was working from 8 to 7, and 8 through 7 Monday through Friday, and 8 to 3 on Saturdays.
Dedication or incarceration?
Oh, well, it was both. It was a very tough time of my life, that first 5 years.
And what are you thinking when you're going through all this? What's the philosophy? Just what's running through your mind?
Well, I mean, just to let you know, I mean, I was beginning to wonder if this was what I really wanted to do. So here I've gone through my whole life with this intention, straight on, I'm going to be a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 5 years into this, and I was actually happy as an associate, because I was told what to do. I had all the clients. I got the paycheck. I'd go home, no stress.
Yeah.
But 4 or 5 years into the practice aspect, man, I wasn't sure I wanted to do this anymore.
Right, I believe it.
Yeah,
that's some whomping stress, man.
Yeah,
3 years no check, and you're working that kind of hours. So you don't have freedom and you don't have income.
No, that's exactly right. And then 2 years when I am making a paycheck, well, it was barely enough. By then I was married, and it was barely enough to get by.
Push family goals off a little bit, delay kids, all that.
Well, we did not really delay the kids. Financially, we should have probably. But, it was tough, and it was tough on the marriage too.
Yeah.
Because I had all these burdens of, what am I going to do with this staff member? I've got this bill to pay. And I'd go home and I wasn't happy, and I'd go home and, my wife, who was at home with 2 or 3 young kids, was all happy and ready to see me, and I'd just come home
just fried,
just wasted, man.
Crispy around the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always thought that hard work, got you somewhere. And I'm not saying that that's not partly true, but it's not the only thing.
It's not the whole story.
Not at all.
Yeah. No, I get it 100%. So at that point, what happens? I mean, you're at your third going into your fourth year and you're in that position. And then, I mean, desperation can either lead to incredibly horrible decisions, or it can lead to some epiphanies that you got to make some major changes. I mean, usually one or the other, right?
Right.
What happened? What happened to you from there? How did you get on the success path? Because you'd done the work.
Right. Well, I was starting to search for help.
Yeah.
And I started reading this magazine called Veterinary Economics.
Right.
And started reading things. And I actually hired a business consultant who knew nothing about veterinarians.
Huh.
And I felt really good after talking to him. I felt really good when I read veterinary economics, it's like, wow, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, I guess, being at a motivational speaker or an Amway seminar or something. You feel great and all, and you go back, nothing changes.
Wow.
Nothing changed.
So did that defeat you, or were you?
Oh yeah, it defeated me. But I got a postcard in the mail one day. And luckily or unluckily, whatever, actually we were busy that day. And I got this postcard in the mail, and I was just going through my mail. I had all 3 exam rooms full, and I had a couple of people waiting up front. Mm-hmm. And I picked up this card, and it said, "Are your employees driving you nuts? Mm. Are you not making the money that you want to make? Are you working excess hours? Are you taking your work life home?" And it was like, every one of those was yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. It was you.
Yeah. And because, man, I'm telling you, at that point, I was ready to just give it up and go work at my father's business.
Wow.
Which was a freight business,
So it had been an abandonment of all the vet investment you'd made into yourself to be a vet, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I wasn't happy about doing that, but I told myself it's got to be better than what I'm living through right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I was miserable.
Sounds like it.
I had no control of my employees. I had no control of my hours. I had no time. I had no fun.
Right. And your wife's probably wondering, when's this going to change? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because she couldn't do anything about it either.
Well, at that point, we were, the marriage was in trouble too.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Like it would be with anybody.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit. So you make that call on the card, and your offers get training. You're getting some vet-specific business training.
That's right.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what happened. What was the first thing that you did to start turning it around or making some changes?
Okay. Well, I have this waiting room full of people. I have the exam rooms full. I look at this card and I'm so excited that somebody might understand where I'm at and how to get me out of it.
Sure.
I get on the phone and I call the number right on the card.
You're diving in, right?
I am ready to do something to fix this situation.
Right.
And I had no data. I had no technology of handling this.
Yeah.
So I guess to make a long story short,
you got help.
I got help.
Yeah.
And we had been doing the same amount of gross for 5 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
Which was in the 300,000 range.
Totally stagnant.
Totally stagnant. We went from like 310,000 to 335,000, somewhere in that range. And I just thought that was the most that I could do.
That was it.
Yeah, but that was it.
Probably the way you were structured, that was true, right? You were structured to do that amount, and that's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to restructure it.
Yeah.
And so when you've got some training, when you finally started looking at business concepts applied to veterinary practice and that are designed for veterinary practice, what did you start doing first when you got that change going? What was the first things you did?
Well, that's a good question. I think the first thing I did was I wrote up hats. I wrote up job descriptions.
Mm.
So, and I had help doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That, they had like outlines of things that you could change for yourself. And I mean, this may sound crazy, and I'm sure most people are doing this, but we started having staff meetings, and I started promoting.
Okay.
So I think those are probably the first 3 things that really got me going. But there were a lot of things that I was doing wrong.
Okay.
And I think I had to come to a realization that I didn't really know anything about business.
Mm.
And being a cocky young veterinarian who can take almost anything that he feels and help it.
Right.
But
yeah, they kind of push the delete button and just say, let me just you teach me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to realize I didn't know anything about this.
Got it. Wow. Yeah, I understand. That's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
You want to hang on to some of what you know. You think some of it got to be valuable, right?
That's right.
All right. So you put some training together, some manuals for staff. That way you took the burden off of having to constantly bring it up. They can read a little bit, learn a job. Mm-hmm. But you start promoting. What are you doing on the promotional end at that point? What did you do to promote?
Well, we did several things.
Okay.
One thing that was very successful for me was I was in a small town, mm-hmm. and it wasn't that expensive. And I put a little newspaper ad in the newspaper, question and answer.
Wow. It
wasn't anything that said, hey, come see Dr. Adney at Hot Springs Animal Hospital.
Right.
It was, hey, is chocolate really poisonous to my dog?
Got it.
Question and answer, and we'd answer it.
Yeah.
And pretty soon the readers would start sending in questions, and we would answer them. And
conversation with the community.
Yes. Yeah. Because we didn't have Facebook and we didn't have social media back then.
Right.
We're talking, in the late 80s, early 90s here.
Yeah. Right. Cell phones just starting to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So you had that, and people just started to get to know you. Like, oh, who's Adney? Oh, there's a Dr. Adney. Oh, he's a vet. That's recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, it seems to me like most vets do not have the kind of recognition. They're not like a household word, even the 4 blocks around them. It's like everybody says, oh, there's a vet right here. Mm-hmm. I'll say, well, there's a lot of vets around here, and they're unknown. They're there. People know there's a lot, but they're not really branded as this doctor, this is what he's like or what she's like, known for something or known.
Yeah.
Right? So you just did get yourself known, and more clients come in.
There you go.
All right. So now you were already there a lot. So what happens next? So now you're bringing in more clients.
Well, we start promoting, and we even did some internal marketing too.
Yeah.
We would have our existing clients, and we'd send out a mailer. Hey, we got a special on this, or a discount, or and we would send like little cards out to gift for them to give to their friends, and they'd get a free office visit, or we started doing things like that. But then all of a sudden, I've got these 4 or 5 employees, and now we have this big inflow of new clients.
Right.
Well,
the machine's not taking it well.
When you're used to seeing maybe 10 people a day, and all of a sudden you go to 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought, that you were, when you used to, you were normally doing 10, and then you do 15 occasionally. Oh, we had a busy day,
Yep.
Now we're going to 20, 25, 30. Oh, my God.
Starts interrupting lunch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here I am. I'm right back where I started.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I stayed connected with my consultants,
right,
and got more information. Okay, I got all this increased traffic. What the hell do I do now?
Yeah, but you got the needle moving though, which was good.
Yes, and the income's going up, and so I mean,
you got no freedom though. Still,
right?
Still don't have it. Okay, so then you need another layer of solution at that point.
That's exactly right.
So did you look over the clinic? Did you look at was it one of these things where you soul searching, now this is the way we do it now, how do I repattern this thing? Did you have to do that?
Oh, certainly. In fact, that's the thing that I learned. So here's the thing. If a business is going down, you need to do certain actions to get it at least level. And once it gets level, there's a whole nother set of actions that you do to get it to go up a little bit.
Ah, okay. Yep.
And then when it's going up a little bit, there's another set of actions that you do to make it go up a lot. And
it's not really covered in vet school, all that.
It's not covered in vet school.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I walk into a business, a hamburger joint or a restaurant or a car dealership or whatever, and you just kind of shake your head going, how are these guys making it?
Right.
Because you look at all the things that they're doing wrong from basic laws of business.
Right.
I'll tell you what I was doing before. I was running the business the same no matter where it was.
Ah, okay.
Okay?
Yep.
When we started looking at the statistics of the business and we did actions based on that, that's when we became really successful.
So for an example of that, for people that are watching this, you're looking at new clients, you're looking at case average, you're looking at overall income, overall volume of services rendered, each giving you like a different readout, if you will. Kind of like on a motor, you got different gauges giving you readouts with specific information on that motor. They don't tell you what to do. They give you the ability to know what to do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes. And you have to be able to measure those things to know, because, you could have your business, your gross income is going up, your net income is going up. Recently, your patient visits have been going up. So you got a great business going. But then you look at your new patients coming in and it's going down. Well, you're not going to sustain that if you don't know that.
Right.
So you can have 4 statistics going way up and 1 going down. And the long term of that is you're going to start getting leveling off or getting smaller. So if you fix that new patient statistic and do actions to correct that,
right,
then that's how you're going to keep going.
Makes total sense. And it has nothing to do with the quality of those other 4 areas and how they're running.
That's right.
It's a different reason that this thing's going the way it's going.
Yeah.
Wow, that had to be pretty key for you, because now you had a critical analysis capability, right?
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, what it does is it gives you relief.
Yeah.
Because look, I've got a huge practice. I got great employees.
Right.
Great. But if I told you I didn't have any problems,
right,
I'd be frickin' lying.
Sure.
But when I do have a problem, I know what needs to be done to handle it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of the anxiety and the unhappiness was before I had this technology.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Sure.
And the unknownness of, my business is level. I'm working tons of hours. I'm making, in my opinion, very little money. And I have no data, no technology to fix any of that.
Right. And of course, one of the more important numbers would be what you're profiting, because you could have all that launch and everything's going up and you are netting what you netted when it was smaller. And I noticed a lot of guys kind of go, why don't I just go back? It was simpler then because I netted the same. So there's a key component there of what is that cost analysis and cash flow management. That's all something you started to get tuned into as well on your way up, I would imagine. Right?
Oh, exactly. I mean, and then here's the thing: if you're not in tune with that, you can't make something go up if you're not looking at it.
Yeah.
Sure,
makes total sense.
Yeah, and it's not like it's difficult.
Yeah.
So
as far as like your veterinarian role in the practice, because you still were a main producer, and then you have your management role in the practice. If you could talk a little bit about that, how you compartmented that or managed it or made it work. What did that look like for you?
Well, to me, there's 2 types of veterinarian practice owners.
Okay.
You have your owner-manager and you have your owner-producer. Back then, I was an owner-producer. I really did not have the time to get in and do all of the management. So I had to, which means that I have this technology on how to run a business. I can't keep it to myself. And I have to delegate things.
Sure, because you're doing all the managing then if you don't share it.
So I have an office manager, got an office manager.
Okay.
And you have to have a good person to begin with. In this technology, there's certain questions that you can ask an individual and find out if they're going to be good for you or not. And I'll tell you one of them, that one question that's important, and look, there's a whole host of questions like this, but I'm going to give you an example is, what did you like or not like about your last job? And let me tell you, if they come in, oh, my boss was an SOB and I hated it and the people there were terrible and,
just a launch in negative.
Just in that conversation as quickly as you can and say, thank you very much and be on your way and help them and you both out because they're not going to be good for you and you're not going to be good for them.
Okay.
But if they come across, you ask them that question and they say, I really liked the job. I've been very happy there for 5 years, but I have no room for advancement. And the office manager and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but she's a good person. But I'm wanting to get things to grow and do more and help the practice owner. And some people don't want to work hard and, but I like the job, but I just want to do something better in life.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Now, look, there's a lot of other questions to ask, but that person at least made it through the first step. And that's somebody to really look at.
That's door one.
That's door one. Yeah.
Got it. So rather than hiring based on desperation, you're using a lot of discernment. You're not getting jumpy and you're picking the right people.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you get somebody that you feel like is that right person, you got to get them trained.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a veterinarian for 7 years before I really got any training on business.
Yeah.
So
why would they, right? They just know what they know from the last job.
That's right. And so they've got to be trained too.
Right.
So that you talk about a successful action for me is get them trained on the technology.
Makes total sense. So today in your clinic with having, how many staff do you have now?
Have 40.
40 people. My gosh. So yeah, a lot of chirping birds there.
Well,
So they're all getting fed and all that, but you're getting training to them. You're pipelining in training so that they don't just become this person who's just a consumption artist.
Yeah. I mean, it's an important item. We have seminars and things and, keep it up.
Yeah.
And you have to stay connected. I mean, look.
You didn't go away, right? You're still seeing patients.
Oh yeah, I'm still seeing patients, and I'm still getting training myself.
Okay.
And my people are still getting training.
Yeah.
It's and we want to keep the practice still growing.
Mm-hmm. So with this associate, you got 6 of them, some part-time, some full-time. Obviously, you've learned some stuff about that because that's like a lot of people just as associates.
Well, it's a good point. When I first started the practice, I never even ever thought about hiring an associate. But all of a sudden we do this marketing. We start implementing these ideas to get the practice growing.
Right.
All of a sudden we're seeing more people than I can see uncomfortably.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I realized I got to hire another vet.
Yeah. That's a big salary.
That's a big salary. But luckily we were having the inflow to be able to do that. But man, oh man, let me tell you, that is another whole set of problems on associate vets. And look, I've got great associate vets, great ones. Back in the day when I first started, I I did not necessarily use the correct questioning to hire the correct veterinarians.
Similar to how you're describing with just an office manager or a staff member. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So I was hiring in desperation.
Right.
And it's really better to be stressed with so much production it's difficult to do than to get a bad apple in there.
Yeah, totally makes sense because you're going to drive business away, right?
Oh, yeah. You'll drive it away. It'll drive you crazy, and then you'll be smaller afterwards.
Yeah.
So when I first started hiring veterinarians, I made some big errors. So I got some training on people.
Qualifying that kind of professional, yeah.
There you go.
All right.
And that was a whole nother set of information that I really needed, because it let me know who was going to be good for me and if I was going to be good for them.
Yeah.
It didn't mean they were bad people, but you got to have a click here.
They got to fit.
They got to fit.
Yeah.
And you need to know how to make them fit.
Yeah.
And there is technology to know if they're going to be able to fit or not.
Sure. Now, you just described a situation where you had a acquaintance with a top-of-the-line veterinary associate. You pursued it, wasn't available, but you didn't give up on it.
Oh, no.
And you stayed in touch, and you ended up procuring that vet, and she's one of your top key people now.
That's exactly right.
So you're not just, there's techniques, but you're on an outbound crusade here to keep actions going that make your practice run.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing and I learned this early on too. Even when I was in the beginning stages of a large amount of growth, I remember one time we had a perfect staff. We had an associate vet who was great. All of our staff were good. And I made the mistake of not continuing to promote of new employees. Mm-hmm.
Just like you'd promote clients, you're promoting for employees.
That's right.
Even though you don't need one right now, you're still promoting.
Right.
Right.
And because of husbands moving,
right,
we lost 2 employees within a month or 2.
Wow.
Key employees.
Right.
And guess what? We had no file. We had nothing.
Just bare naked standing there.
And those were good people. They weren't hiding it. Their husbands just got transferred.
Right.
So all of a sudden we're in deep shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nightmare. And
you're starting the process in the middle of the need, so there's going to be a delay to getting people.
That's exactly right.
Wow. Critical mistake, right?
Yeah, critical mistake. But, life's a learning process.
Yep.
And technology, it says constantly promote for new, good people. Mm-hmm. And if you don't need them, by golly, you got a file. Hey, we like you right now. We don't have a place, but don't give up. We're going to be calling you.
Yeah.
And so at any given time, I love to have 5 receptionists, 5 technicians, 5 assistants, and 3 veterinarians that at the drop of a hat I can call and they'll be there.
So you got like a bench there. That's like having a bench in a sports team, right?
Yes.
Players are going.
And the truth is that we never stop promoting for employees. Wow. We have an ad going every once in a while in some avenue to get people to interview, to,
know that you're there and qualify them yourself.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wow. So when did you start stepping away? Because I know today you're seeing clients, what?
2 days a week.
2 days a week.
And I do surgeries 1 day.
1 day. Mm-hmm. And you have a $5 million practice. So talk about how you started stepping away, because that's a nervous moment too, right?
Yeah.
You're giving the baby over to the babysitter.
Yeah. Well, I think the key is procuring good people and having a management system in so that it runs by itself.
Okay, so these are pieces of confidence. One is in the system, having it systematized. Next one's in the quality of the people. All right? So then, there's no manager though, but you have a manager. So when you leave, so just talk about how you relate to that manager. How do you track and how do you know? I mean, you've got to know that it's going right, even if you're not there. Yeah. So,
well, okay. So when I first started, basically in Florida, I bought this practice 7 years ago.
Okay.
It was grossing about $900,000.
Okay.
And I had another guy who was working with me, a good guy, great vet. And he and I just decided we would he wanted to work for me and I was going to run it. And 6 months later, he got an offer of a veterinarian hospital it was given to him for free.
Wow.
Which is a very unusual occurrence.
A little hard to compete with that.
You can't, know. And he came to me, he goes, look, man, I know I told you I'd work for me, but I got this work for you, but I got this opportunity. And hey, I understood. So I really made the mistake of not having somebody in the file at this point.
Okay.
Because this was just an unforeseen circumstance.
Yeah.
So I had one guy in the file, but he was working for someone else that he had to give a 3-month notice to. I called him up, let him know what happened. So basically for 4 months, I was running pretty close to a $2 million practice now.
By yourself?
By myself.
Okay.
8 to 8. Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 on Saturday. Now, that's not what I envisioned, but I had a great staff. It was organized. I knew it would not be forever. And I don't want to say it was easy, but you know what? I was happy. We were growing. The staff was happy. I had all of these organizational tools to use. And once he got there, I went to less time and we started hiring new associates and getting them trained and new staff and getting them trained. And pretty soon I would take a day off. I would just say, okay, I'm not working Thursdays anymore.
Okay. That's real.
Do that for a while.
Watch the numbers.
Watch the numbers. Fix the stuff.
Right.
Now I'm not working on Fridays anymore.
Right. So you're working on the practice. You're just not working in it on Thursday. You're still looking at how things go down. You're making sure you make your adjustments, just like they do in sports teams.
Sure.
Next quarter, we want to do this. Got to make some adjustments. Okay. And then you continue to hire people. That's one associate. Then you have 2. Then you have 2.5, 3, 4. You just keep stacking it up with the technical people.
Yep. And I keep backing out gradually. When something comes up, fix it. Obviously, if I was working there 6 days a week, I had a lot of clients and every veterinarian goes through this. You have these clients that love you and they only want to see you. So there is that transition that they have to realize that, you're not there all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And so the truth of the matter is you got good people. They see them. Hey, I've got many clients who didn't want to see anybody but me.
Right.
Now, I don't ever see them because they like the associate doctor just fine.
It's an ego blow, right?
Yeah. Well.
Man, I thought they loved me. But the quality had to rise amongst those people to be similar to what yours was. I mean, obviously there is personality, but there's a quality of experience that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Where somebody goes, you know what, this feels good enough, right? So you got some good associates going.
Yeah, well, we have great people.
Now, you work with them a lot yourself. Now, I understand you've clinically, in addition to all this on the organizational side, you've taken the clinical end and systematized that and take it up a notch in terms of building great associates.
Yes.
You want to speak to that a little bit?
Well, that's like, for example, I've kind of outlined, we don't tell people how to practice. Everybody's got their own way of treating a particular patient.
All right.
But there are general ways of how something should be handled.
Sure.
So like a dog comes in for vomiting, for example. Well, if it's just doing that for the day, there's a set of things that should be done. Mm-hmm. If it's been doing it for 3 days, mm-hmm. and it's all dehydrated, hey, that's a whole different ball game. Mm-hmm. So I've made outlines after 30 some odd years of practice and of okay, here's a dog vomiting one day. This, and should be done. If this is mm-hmm. elevated, or if this, you do this, and basically it's kind of an outline or a flow chart of, in a general way, of things that need to be done. Again,
not given to anybody in vet school.
That's correct.
Yeah. So you've taken your years of experience, codified a protocol. It's not didactic, meaning it's not rote. They don't have to, but they can consult with it. It's like a library to consult with.
Yeah,
a protocol.
Exactly, and it makes it easy.
Wow.
because if I told you that somebody didn't make a mistake or didn't do something they should have done,
right?
I think any veterinarian would be lying if they said that never happened.
Right.
But here's the thing: it's a good training tool, because if we do have a mistake or something doesn't go quite right, we can usually go to that and say, oh, hey, look, if you'd have done this, without making them wrong, but just saying, hey, mm-hmm. if this had been x-rayed or whatever, we wouldn't have missed that mm-hmm. or whatever. So they tend to like the flow chart.
Nice.
Because it helps them see what, it just makes it in black and white.
Sure. It's like a coach reviewing the plays and looking, that didn't work. Let's look at why. Let's look at what we should have changed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody takes it as a you're wrong. It's more like what you said, here's a look at what could have happened.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Well, it's something that's helped the associate veterinarians kind of be on the same plane.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's your key. That's your secret to getting 6. Because, everybody, you get 6 doctors in a room, right? They could, if they really talk, they're going to find some things they don't do the same way. And they're certainly going to have independent thought, tremendous amount of it, right?
Right. And what I had to learn too early on was there's more than one way to do something successfully.
So you don't stifle the initiative, you're building the competence.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's powerful, because a lot of associates want to grow, but if they're capped off by a certain way, they don't feel like they can A, be themselves and B, grow at the same time.
Right. And nobody wants, black and white medicine.
Right.
Okay, if it's this dog's vomiting, give it Serenia and this or whatever, which is a drug. But no one wants that.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it to them.
Right.
But in a general way, on giving good patient care, it's a nice mm-hmm. thing to have.
Got it. Wow, amazing. So on your days off, you're usually sitting in the parking lot, a cup of coffee, looking at your windshield.
Oh, yeah. I'm just making sure I've got my binoculars looking. Yeah.
Now, what do you do? So what are you doing when you're not there? What is it? What is this? So you did all this, and here you are, and what has it afforded you to be able to do? Like what?
Well, my big hobby.
You gave up a lot of time in the early days.
Oh yeah. So I'm trying to reward myself now. My wife and I travel, but I'll tell you, my big passion is offshore fishing.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So
You're
that's
the right place for that.
Yes. So anybody out there that wants to come offshore fishing, call me and I'll take you fishing.
All right.
Okay.
Right on.
So, but yeah, I'll go out. I have a nice boat. We'll go out 100 miles sometimes, catch big grouper and snapper, and I love to eat fish. I have 4 freezers at my house. I have big fish fries.
Beautiful.
So, but that's one of my things that I enjoy doing.
And you're able to be out on the boat, and your mind's not taking you back to the clinic. You're able to be in the moment.
I mean, there's not anything that has to be handled by me.
Okay.
In fact, I'm at the point now, and look, everybody knows there's clients who want to see you. They'd rather talk to you.
Sure.
But I know I could walk away right now. And with the people there, the practice would still produce and do fantastic.
Wow.
And I could walk away completely. I like practicing. You know, I sold my practices in Arkansas, and I golfed and I fished for 6 months afterwards. And man,
wasn't enough.
I was bored stiff.
Yeah.
I enjoy being a veterinarian.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I would want to see a veterinarian that enjoys being a veterinarian.
Yeah. I didn't really realize how much I missed it until I sold it and sort of quit doing it for a while.
All right. Well, that was the intention that started when you had teddy bear and stethoscope.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
But now you can enjoy it, and you're able to you got some freedom going, which is a balanced freedom.
For the most part, I do work one Saturday a month, but for the most part, I work 3 days and I have 4 days off.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and I've got vets, the associate vets are there. Some of them are doing the same.
Now you're treating them too nice. There.
Well, yeah, I need to be a little bit more battle axe, I guess.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, you're making a great home for people, which is a different look. A lot of businesses want it to be all about business, but you're sort of embracing their other dynamics in life a little bit, which is great.
Well, hey, I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and happy employees are better producers, you know. Yeah. And it is important for me for them to enjoy what they're doing.
Sure.
And I do my best to do that.
Yeah.
Do I make mistakes? You bet.
Yeah.
You know, but it is my intention for them to really love their job as much or more than they do their home life, you know?
Sure. And I'm sure that convinces them. I can see it just talking to you would convince me that you're the right guy to work for because you are intending to do like that old saying is just do the next right thing. You know, if you kind of follow that, you're usually on the right path.
There you go.
Well, Dr. Kevin, man, you get an amazing situation. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure the people are going to watch this are going to pick a lot of pearls out of this talk. But hats off to you for building, you know, a mini empire. That's pretty impressive, and I got to validate you for it. I know you don't always get the applause when you're leaving at 8 o'clock at night, but you did a great job.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
And if you can teach more, I'm sure there's a lot of vets out there that could certainly drink of that well, whatever you got to give them, and hopefully they'll see the merit in that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my next stage of life is to help others be able to do the same.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time.
You betcha.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.